Hello
Hello
everyone!
again.
We are back again. So this is the second of 3 videos. We've got plans to talk about these
Yeah.
various books and various forms they have taken being presented. But yeah, so we've done a video about the prequels, the Infernal Devices, so just so you check that one out. And now we're here to talk about the Mortal Instruments.
Look at these
Da,
beauties.
da, da.
Aren't they lovely? The biggest one of all.
Yes. So yeah, in case you haven't watched the video about the Infernal Devices, basically recently, Laura, you've read the Infernal Devices and the Mortal Instruments.
I have.
And now you're reading Bane Chronicles,
I am.
which I am actually going to be reading next.
And then it'll be Tales of Shadowhunter Academy, and then I will dive into the Los Angeles Institute with Lady Midnight.
Yes.
And I am so excited.
Yes.
I am so ready to have my heart broken again and again and again. Because it's just been a roller coaster of angst and heartbreak.
So, in case you haven't seen the previous video, I was saying about how I've read the books after I saw the film, and I recommended Laura to read them, but she didn't. You didn't have an interest then, did you?
I didn't at the time.
But now you have, and it's because of the Shadowhunters TV series, which we're going to talk about in a separate video.
Yeah,
that triggered you to pick up the first book, and you've just fallen head over heels in love with this world.
It was
you?
Malik.
Yeah.
It was the power of Harry Shum Jr. and Matthew Daddario's incredible chemistry.
Yeah.
And which led me
to this lot. So let's start on them. So should we do the first 3 books?
Yes. Okay.
So the Mortal Instruments. Let's say the first 3 are the City of Bones, the City of Ashes, and the City of Glass. I think probably easier if we do it in chunks of 3 as well, because the way in which Cassandra Clare wrote her books, that she wrote these first 3, then she wrote the prequels, and then she went back to finish off the second half.
Reamped the series
and,
back.
Yeah, and for writing quality and such, you can tell that City of Bones is a first book. Yeah. And you can see her quality progress as it goes up. So if you read it prequels first and then the Mortal Instruments, you're kind of like high writing back down low, then building up. Whereas if you read them as they were published, as Laura has done, you go from these first 3 books of, you can see her progression go from low upwards. Yeah. But then, halfway through you're like cutting away and then you're coming back again.
If these books were a child, newborn, toddler, preschooler who doesn't listen and just runs away,
and breaks all the rules.
And breaks
pushes the boundaries. Pushes the boundaries to the 10th degree.
And goes, you know what, I'm going to make you cry and I don't care.
And that's only the halfway point of the series.
God, this series has been such a roller coaster, an amazing ride, and I've loved every minute of it. Yeah. Even if the beginning is slightly bumpy.
Yeah, the beginning is bumpy. The second one is bumpy until you reach about half to 2/3 of the way through. Yeah. And then suddenly it shoots into the stratosphere. Like, whoa, where did that ending come from? And then the third one, Cassandra's going, right, I know what I'm doing now. Yeah. Let's go with it. Yeah. So that's why with the prequels, I was saying is that it feels like it's, in a sense, the structuring in that is what these first 3 books should have been, but it's just Cassandra. She's learned. So you can't fault her for that.
No.
So the first Mortal Instrument books, City of Bones, follows a girl called Clare, who lives very comfortably with her mum in New York. She likes art and such. She's got a best friend called Simon. Life's just comfortable. And then one night she goes to a club
called Pandemonium,
and she sees a symbol on the sign, but nobody else can see the symbol. But that doesn't jar her at all. And she goes into the club and witnesses what she sees as a murder, but nobody else can see it. And there's a certain boy, a blonde-haired boy, called Jace, who is kind of instigating it, who kind of realises there's something not right here. She can see me. Why can she? Well, he actually asks that. He? He says,
"How can you see me?
How can you see me?" And it leads her to come to know the shadow world.
Yes.
Which is, full of various demons and such, and shadow hunters basically track them down and kill them. Yes. And there are other elements to this world, including vampires, werewolves, and warlocks. And Clary is basically in the epicenter of it, and she has no idea that her mother, Jocelyn, was in the epicenter of it. Yeah. She was part of it was known as the is it the Dark Circle? No,
the Circle.
The Circle.
The Circle.
Why do I think the Dark Circle? Part of the Circle, this group of shadow hunters that basically were brainwashed by a certain individual to believing that they should take control, kind of like an uprising sort of thing.
Against the government.
Against their government.
The Clave.
Yeah.
Which is the name of their government, basically.
And take control, and she managed to get out of it and take a certain artifact with her. And Clary as well, as a little one, and hide. But now she's been found. Mm-hmm. And it's all about Clary learning the world, saving her mum, and all the palaver that comes with it.
The problem with City of Bones is Clary herself.
Yes. Shall we start going character by character?
I think that would be the easiest way, won't it?
Let's start with Clary.
So are we doing Clary in these first three and then moving on to the next three, or Clary as a whole across the board?
Because perhaps it's a 3 and 3, because she really changes. Let's just face it, she deals with a lot of shit.
She really really does.
She really does. So okay, let's start with these 3 then. I
didn't like Clary.
Clary's very childish. I forgot to say spoilers. Spoilers. Sorry, I'll put that in the title. Clary's an annoying child. She overreacts to things. She'll get in a strop. She won't talk to people if they've annoyed her, and she's not very mature.
No, she's not. But then, to be fair to her, neither is Jace.
No.
And when I was reading it, I didn't like Clary. I didn't like Jace. Mm-hmm. I didn't like Simon.
Yeah.
And they're like the main 3.
Yeah.
For like the first book and a half. But now, given how much they've all grown and changed, I'd fight tigers for all 3 of them.
I think it is that thing that, as we've already mentioned, it's a first book.
It really is.
You can tell it's a first book. You can tell it's designed specifically for girls of Clary's age, like 16, 17.
But what we have to keep in mind is this was published in 2007.
Yeah.
Twilight was king at that point in publishing.
Okay, yes,
so,
true.
For girls who liked Bella in Twilight, Clary would probably be their cup of tea.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah,
so, if this is her first book and her publisher's going, do you know what's really hot right now?
Yeah.
Are girls with like 0 agency.
Yeah.
And you
chuck in a couple of
boys.
One's intellectual. One is intellectual but keeps quiet about it, and he's got massive abs.
Yeah. Yeah. But like what I'm saying is that the publishing world, when this was published, was pushing a particular type of female character.
Yeah.
And I think Clary...
So that's why with the Infernal Devices, which she wrote later, Tessa is totally different. And she is what I wanted Clary to be at the beginning of Mortal
But now, Clary is such a phenomenal woman.
Yeah.
She has changed so much. Yeah. And I'm so proud, actually, of the character development that Clary has gone through.
Yeah.
I don't think I could have read 6 books of City of Bones, Clary. I really don't. Because, there are times when she's very rude for no reason.
She spits out her dummy, as it were.
She's like that kind of... I'm strong because I'm being rude.
Yeah.
Not because I've got a purpose that I need to accomplish.
Yeah.
She's just simply being rude for the sake of it.
Yeah, it's kind of like I always thought, you know how we love One Tree Hill, because you know we've mentioned that before. How I kind of see Tessa as kind of Peyton.
Yeah.
In regards to that, if she's annoyed, she might say, tell you about it, but she's, she's able to wind it in.
Mm.
Whereas I feel that Clare is like Brooke at the very beginning of One Tree Hill.
Yeah. Yeah, but without...
When she's cheerleader, Brooke.
Yeah, when she's cheerleader. Yeah. No, I get that.
Once Brooke got past that point, well, even before that is what she did develop, but not to the same maturity.
It tells you something, doesn't it, about the way that teenage girls are viewed? Doesn't it?
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how much of Clary was Cassandra Clare, and how much of it was she's new to this publishing world, and they're like, well, it won't sell if she's like that.
Yeah.
Make her like this.
Yeah.
But either way, that's by the by now, because it's 12 years later, and Clary Fairchild is everything.
Yeah. I find her very interesting in City of Ashes when she confronts her mum. Because
no, that's City of Glass.
Oh, sorry, I was thinking of City of Ashes.
Yeah.
Because her mum's kind of been in this like frozen state thing.
Yeah.
And she wakes up. And of course, Clary's been through a lot of crazy stuff since her mum went to sleep.
Yeah.
She's learned all about Shadow World. She's gone through two books. She's gone through 2 books of craziness since then. And her mum then wakes up, and she is livid with her mum.
Yeah, she is.
She is absolutely livid.
Her mum stole her memories, stole her ability to be a shadow hunter. And
so it kind of feels like there's a shift that happens. And it's who's the adult, who's the child.
Yeah, but this is the shift book for me. I feel like these two really are laying the groundwork for and everything that goes forward from it.
It's kind of like, in a sense, the Harry Potter books. The first 2 books are setting the groundwork, and then the third one is where darkness creeps in.
Absolutely.
Whereas Cassandra Clare, instead of darkness creeping in, she goes, right, I'm just going to blow a hole in the wall and just,
She actually literally does do that.
She literally does that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna absolutely send you to the deepest, darkest.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna say bye to these characters for a few years while I write the prequels, and then I'll send you back again. That's how she does it. But luckily, when I started reading them, I had to wait for the final book to come out, and I got it on the day of release. I couldn't wait until it got into this, smaller size so that they'd all fit on my bookcase together. I had to get them right away and get that one right away. But that was the only one I had to wait for. I was able to just sit and read them back to back. So I was happy with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so with Clary's development, I think it's in a sense better reading it in bulk than waiting.
It's sort of like watching Game of Thrones on Outlander on DVD.
Yeah.
If you do it episodically.
Yeah. Because that's what happened with me. I watched series 1 to 4, I think, in bulk.
Yeah.
And then series 5 came along, and I was just felt like something's not quite right here. And I did the week by week, and I got bored.
Yeah.
I got absolutely bored of it. So I gave up.
Yeah, it's probably... side note, just don't bother with Game of Thrones, because that was...
diabolical series.
I am still seething about that. But we're not going to talk about that, because I will rant for an hour. So, but that is not the way that you treat Daenerys Targaryen. Sorry. We're not talking about Daenerys Targaryen, we're talking about Clary Fairchild.
Yes, we are.
So, I did not like Clary at first.
Yeah.
I warmed to her through City of Ashes.
Yeah.
By the end of City of Glass, I'd have laid down on railroad tracks for her.
Yeah.
I adored the way that City of Glass made it clear for all of the characters that this is not going to be what the first two books, because
it's
the threat level.
No,
the threat level in the first two books is low level.
Yeah.
And then City of Glass came along and just shattered me.
Yeah.
Completely.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it just went from being okay, fairly interesting.
Yeah.
To like, I'll take it or leave it. To, oh my God, I need to consume everything.
Yeah.
And the fact that she was able to do that to me and turn my opinion around of Jace and Clare and Simon in particular, because I found Simon uniquely annoying.
I found Simon very interesting.
I love him now.
Uniquely annoying. That's a really good line, actually.
I love him now, but it took me such a long time.
But I think with Simon, again, you have that thing of when it was published, what was going on, because I'll admit, okay, he is annoying in the first couple of books, but I think as the way he's written, he feels like he's in love with Clary. He's head over heels in love with her. He's been in love with her since they were like 3.
For a long time, yeah.
And he feels that because he has been around forever, he knows everything about her, and that he deserves to get her as his girlfriend. And it's like, no, honey, that's not how it works.
When I read that bit, I was like,
cringy.
Simon, come on. But then I said it in the Infernal Devices series.
Yeah.
And this goes on into the second set of 3.
Yeah.
Particularly with Alec and Magnus, is that I am a grown woman reading these books about these teenagers making these mistakes.
Yeah.
I want to say, will you just talk to him?
Yeah.
Just talk to him.
Yeah.
But I remember being 18. I remember being in my first relationship at 18 and how overwhelming that is. And then if you add into that the fact that Magnus is so much more experienced than Alec because of his age, I get it. You know, I get it.
So, but I find it interesting that all of these books, other than the last one, because it's, on the front cover, it has the exact same quote saying, "A story world I love, Stephenie Meyer, author of Twilight."
Because Stephenie Meyer,
because at the time
was
the queen. She was the queen
YA.
of YA, wasn't she?
She's. I don't quite know what's happened, because I know Stephenie Meyer had another series, but I don't know what happened with it.
I don't know. I don't read her books. I'm not fond of her books. So, but yeah, so Clary has gone from being a child, like a spoiled brat.
Yeah.
To
she
being...
kind of was a spoiled brat. She was an only child. Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me if Jocelyn sort of spoiled her to stop her asking questions.
And maybe Luke as well.
Luke too.
Luke is basically the family friend who really is. He's not a family friend. He's basically the substitute dad. He loves Jocelyn. Jocelyn loves him, but neither one will admit their feelings. That kind of thing. Oh, and to throw in the mix, he's a werewolf.
He is a werewolf.
Yeah.
I love Luke.
Yeah,
Luke's a great character.
Luke is an amazing character. But I think Luke may have done as well. It's kind of like how it could be little things like how, because of art is very important, buying her a load of paints.
Yeah.
To keep her distracted from asking questions.
Yeah. Yeah.
That kind of thing. So it's not spoiled as in I'm going to give you everything under the sun. It's spoiled in I'll give you what you like, and hopefully that means you won't ask any questions, So, but yeah, she goes from being like a spoiled brat to a proper woman.
Yeah, she is. She's a grown woman by the end of it.
Yeah.
Because she goes through so much.
Yeah.
And
especially with her brother.
Some of it is almost far too much for a child of her age.
Oh, yeah.
It really is. It's very, very hard for her. But that's the great thing about Cassandra Clare's writing is that she made me care about Clary and about Jace. I mean, Jace.
I think that is what I find so intriguing about her writing, in that, you know, this is a proper world. It's, you know,
it's fully
realised fantasy world.
Yeah.
And even though there's crazy situations because of what they do and fighting demons and all that lot, they all feel real. Okay, sometimes they don't do necessarily realistic things, like you said. Why don't we just talk to each other?
Yeah.
Why are you really getting stroppy?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
That they feel real.
Yeah. Yeah. So
when you have events where, like at the end of the last book, where joyous events kind of bring them all together, and you realise that this is not just a frivolous story.
Yeah. This is the formation of a wider family.
Depth. Yeah, it has a massive family.
Yeah.
It gets you.
It really does.
It really gets you. But yeah. So yeah, that's Clare. Should we talk about Jace? Jace. Where do we start with Jace?
Now, as I said in our Infernal Devices series video, I look at Jace like I look at Will.
Yes.
In as much as I don't see Jace, I mean, I've seen other booktubers like describe Jace as being like their first book boyfriend.
Yeah.
When I look at these characters, because of my age, I don't see them that way. I see it as in a sort of maternal way.
Yeah.
And I look at Jace and I just want to give him a cuddle, wrap him in blankets.
Yeah, I mean, I was in my when was the film? Came out
2013. In fact, it says on the front cover, doesn't it? August 2013.
Oh, 13. There we go. So
I was 30.
and I was 27. So I was going to say, I thought I was in about my mid-20s when I read these, when the film came out. And I had the same thing where, you know, I didn't see him as a... You know how sometimes you can read books and you can go, oh, I can see them as my book boyfriend or my book cousin. Like Jamie how you are with Jamie.
Absolutely.
Right? How you are with Jamie.
Yeah.
I saw Jace as my book friend who I'd like to give a hug to, who I'd like to actually speak to.
He's my book son.
Feel like, who I feel like I would very genuinely be totally happy for him to just talk to me and just let everything out and just say what he needs to say.
See,
I'd be totally fine with that.
I love it when you watch Adam's reaction videos to Shadowhunters.
Normally Adam is his channel. And it's really great.
It's like, my son!
Yeah.
My son! That's it. But you know, it's sort of a feeling of maternal desire to help.
Yes.
To comfort. It's not, I want you to be my boyfriend. That's not the way I see it.
It's very interesting because with Will, who he is related to from the Infernal Devices, I feel like kind of the similar thing, but I feel like he is in control enough to be able to handle it, where I feel like Jace is bubbling full of emotions, and if one is slightly too high, he's going to snap. He's going to crash. And I want to protect him. I want to hug him and just let him know that he's okay.
The thing that Will had that Jace didn't have, Will had a stable family.
True.
And Jace didn't.
Well, yes, but there's this whole thing that technically he did have a family that's not blood related, but
in his early years.
Okay. Yeah, in his early years, but if that's what I love about this series as well, it's that family is not defined by blood.
Family can be made, as well as born.
And Jace is the epitome of that.
Absolutely, because he was adopted at the age of 10 by the Lightwood family.
So he's brother to Alec and Izzy.
Yeah. So it's sort of like a lot of these books is Jace's identity crisis. And how he resolves that. And
especially in the later books when he gets possessed.
Yes, he does.
He gets properly possessed by a certain annoying character. That's very mildly. He sees and does things that he has real hard time dealing with.
Yeah, he does.
And thus he reaches that point, like I said, if something an emotion goes ever too high, he could snap, he could, but he gets to that point.
Yes, he does.
And the way that Cassandra writes that, and the way that Jace is able to pull himself back from the brink thanks to Clary, it's really beautifully done.
Do you know what I love as well is even when in those moments when he does something that he hates himself for, you never hate him for doing it.
Oh no,
she never compromises Jace's character for a bad thing.
Yes,
and you always forgive him because you know at his core he is a good man.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing about Jace. He's a sarcastic dickhead. At first,
he's annoying.
He genuinely is, but you can see he genuinely like there is a line which is in the film which I hate, and I cannot stand how they did it in the film.
Because it's totally different.
It's so different in the book.
Yeah.
But basically, there's a sequence in the film where Jace, Clary, and Simon arrive at the Institute. Clary is hurt. She falls over. She's nearly passing out. And she says, "Is this the part where you start ripping off my clothes?" And his reply, oh God, I can't. What was the exact words of it?
I can't find it.
I can't remember the exact words of it, but the way in which she's... Oh no, it's like, believe me, I would have done that already. Or so something like that. But the way that he says it in the film, he is very straight-faced about it. But in the book, Clary is basically inches from death, and she's really freaking out. And she's like, I don't know. And he says that line to make her laugh.
Yeah.
To get her to calm down, because that's what he does. He's a sarcastic dickhead, but he really cares. And then to change it like that, it was just so wrong. And I felt they completely screwed up his character a bit with that line, but it just shows what Jace is like. He really, this complete stranger who he's managed to track down after the whole pandemonium thing, and then she is nearly dying, and it is kind of his fault. But the fact that he cares that much, that he brought her to the Institute when he really, in a sense, shouldn't have done, because he doesn't know why she can see him and all that lot, and bring Simon with him. It was a massive deal that he did that.
Yeah.
He could have got in some serious trouble for doing that, but he did it because he cared. He wanted to save her life.
Yeah. That's the kind of dichotomy with him is.
Yeah.
He almost wants to not care.
Yeah.
But his inherent goodness will not let him not care.
Yeah.
And he is actually the opposite of Alec.
Yeah. Yeah, he is.
Isn't he?
Yeah. Because it's kind of like Jim and Will.
Yeah.
They're complete opposites, yet they are totally united, totally...
And because of the Infernal Devices, Lightwood and Herondale were always going to happen.
Yeah.
So for them to be paribati is perfect.
Yeah.
In my head. Alec is my guy.
Yeah.
Isn't he? He's my boy. I adore Alec Lightwood.
Yeah.
He is the brother to Isabel Lightwood.
Mm-hmm.
And they are... Well, they're a team. There are three, aren't they?
All three of them. They totally and utterly adore each other.
They do.
They have got each other's backs. They will do anything for each other, regardless.
Alec is gay.
Yes.
And the sort of first three books are Alec coming to terms with that.
Yep.
Meeting and dating Magnus.
It's very interesting with Alec that how he is perceived in the books and how he's perceived in the film. Because in the film, he's extremely cold. At one point, he has Clary up against a wall with his hands around her neck for referring to her having a crush on Jace.
That's in the book.
To him, but it's a completely different context.
It is, but I know I was supposed to like be like horrified by that, but to be honest, I was so annoyed by Clary at that point.
She was being
like,
an absolute
you
bitch.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, she was being a bitch.
She was being a total bitch to Alec in that moment.
Yeah.
And I don't blame him for reacting.
Yeah.
Albeit perhaps not showing her against the wall, but I do tend to give Alec a pass for his naughty behaviour. I really do.
Yeah.
But Alec seems. I mean, we also have to understand that these books are from Clary's point of view.
They are.
So he is cold to Clary, but he has his reasons, and his reason is essentially he's in love with Jace.
Yes.
And I love. There was a moment in City of Glass where Jace and Alec are talking about his feelings for Jace.
Yeah.
And Jace goes, "Well, just come and kiss me."
Yeah.
And Alec is absolutely horrified by that.
Yeah.
And he's saying, the reason why you won't kiss me is because you're not actually in love with me. Yeah. It's not about me, it's about the fact that I'm safe.
Yeah.
And you know, because I'm a Parabatai, I cannot reject you.
Yeah.
It's not really... I was furious with Jace when he said that, because I felt like he was being... he was needling Alec needlessly. But then I reread it and I thought, no, he's right.
Yeah.
He is really, really right.
Yeah.
But again, the man that Alec Lightwood is, by the end of Heavenly Fire, I just adore.
He's a proper man.
He's a man.
I mean, I think he is the one, even though, all the characters mature, and I just said Clary becomes a woman, Jace becomes a man, because, Alec is the one I feel has the biggest development.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably because of what he does in this book.
Oh, God, what he did in that book. Oh, Alec.
Alec, darling. It was a bad call.
Yeah, but again, you have to remember he's only 18 years old, and he thought he was doing the right thing, but he wasn't.
He's a baby.
But should we talk about your favourite man in the world?
King Magnus.
King Magnus. Where
is he?
Chronicles? There he is.
Mr. Magnus?
Well, that's that actual picture. That's film Magnus.
That's Godfrey Gow who played him and played him amazingly.
He did. He played him very well. It was just so
job.
Annoying that they only gave him like 3 scenes in the whole film.
I know. He's so beautiful.
He is gorgeous.
I love Magnus so much.
Not to go on about the film again, but the film, I thought they did well presenting Magnus, but it was a bit weird that his opening shots or opening sequence, should I say, he's just in his underwear.
Yeah, that was weird.
And he was like, that's not what Magnus would wear.
See, I love the way that they dress Magnus for the TV show, because it's got
It's perfect.
It's that shabby chic thing.
And it has links to his heritage as well.
Yes, it does.
A lot of links to his heritage. But we'll talk about that when we do this.
Yeah, we will.
But do you want to talk about Magnus?
Magnus, King Magnus, literally the only adult around for most of the time.
The Warlock of New York.
The High Warlock,
sorry.
Of Brooklyn.
Oh, okay, of Brooklyn.
Yeah, because there's one for each of the boroughs.
Of course there is, isn't there?
So he's the High Warlock
for Brooklyn.
Yeah. And he is everything. I love Magnus Bane.
I do love
with
Magnus.
every fibre of my being.
Yeah.
And I love that we have the Eldest Curse series, which just focuses on Alec and Magnus. And the first book, The Red Scrolls of Magic, came out three months ago now.
Oh, I thought it was only like a month or 2.
Maybe it was a month or 2 ago.
But it's not that long, because it's in hardback. It's kind of everywhere, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. And I've got that, and I can't wait to read that. But everything in its own good time. But no, Magnus is... I mean, he has a type. His type is tall, black-haired, blue-eyed, which is Alec.
Yeah.
And he's sort of been... It's funny reading the Bane Chronicles, because you can see, like, the journey he's been on to get to Alec.
Can I ask, the Bane Chronicles, because I haven't started it yet, but it's my next book, does it cover other love affairs that he's had over time?
Yes.
Right.
Yes, it does. And actually, in the Red Scrolls of Magic, Cassandra Clare writes about why she wrote the Bane Chronicles, and that was part of the reason. Because of when these books came out, it was still highly sort of controversial to show LGBT romance.
Yeah.
And she had, like, her books were literally banned from libraries in the South.
Yeah.
High school libraries did not stock her books.
Yeah. It's like in the South.
And
like,
she wanted to show Magnus in all his, because he's bisexual.
Yeah.
And so as he says in the TV show, I love the soul before the sex.
Yeah.
And he does. He falls in love all the time.
Yeah.
And she wanted to show that. So that's why Alec and Magnus's romance is sort of off the page until the last 3 books.
Yeah.
So you get hints of it, and you see them through other people's eyes. But you know that it's happening. It's just not the main focus of the story.
Yeah.
But that was why. So when she finished City of Glass and she got together with Sarah Rees Brennan and Maureen Johnson, and she decided to write this, she wanted to show Magnus in all his different colours, as it were. And so she did. And he sleeps with men, he sleeps with women. He is a whole person who loves...
Do you know who he reminds me of?
Who?
In a way, because the way he is, his character, his loving the soul and everything, he always reminded me of Freddie Mercury. I don't know. Well, it's not a particular element.
They do actually reference Freddie Mercury in the TV show. Don't you remember?
Oh no, he references having met him, and he kind of implies, doesn't he, that he had sex with him.
Yeah, and what's the name? That he's dancing with says, and that's why you dragged me to all those Queen concerts.
Yeah.
It kind of, that kind of idea of it is the soul and not the gender.
He just always reminded me of that. Maybe it was that thing because of what Freddie represents.
Yes.
And he wasn't afraid to be himself, and he could be flamboyant, and he could be very quiet.
Yeah.
So that's who Bane always reminded me of ever since I started reading it.
But
it was Freddie.
I do feel like Magnus has, in a situation with Alec, I do feel like there was a portion of some blame on him.
Well, yeah, it's when you're. I think obviously it's a very unique situation that any of us are going to be, because it's not every day that you date a warlock who is immortal. You know, I get. When I initially read it, I was like, oh, you're being so stupid, and I felt very much on that side. And then rereading it, I was like, no, but I can see, because you do forget how old these characters are.
Yeah.
Because of the stuff that they go through. It's like, surely a 17, 18-year-old wouldn't be able to handle that. But they had to handle it. Yeah. They've got no choice in this matter.
Yeah.
You forget sometimes. Whereas I think with, you forget it with Alec, because he's quite, keeps himself to himself. He's very reserved in the beginning books. And in a sense, even though he is very present, at the same time, he's not, because his relationship with Magnus, as you say, doesn't really come to the forefront until the second half of the series.
Yeah.
And then that's when this happens. You forget that he's only 18 years old.
And this is his first...
It's his first relationship.
You know, he's with this older warlock who will not answer any questions.
No.
And that's the thing. That's the thing that made me angry with Magnus, was that you cannot expect not to be asked things and to give no information and just go, well, you just need to be content with today.
Yeah, it's kind of like when they have a scene in Shadowhunters when Alec asks him how many lovers he's had, and he says 17, and Alec is a bit like,
oh, I can deal with that.
And then 1700, and then Bane just won't respond, and he's like looking at us, 17,000?
I worked that out. If he was, say, 400 years old, that's like 24 sexual partners a year.
There you go.
And I'm like, okay, whatever. It's fine.
But yeah, it's, so yeah, it's a curveball in a situation that you never, you wouldn't be able to necessarily fully judge it, because there's no way any of us have experienced that.
What's wonderful about Heavenly Fire is that the ending of Lost Souls happens.
The ending of Lost Souls is...
But I get it.
Yeah.
I do understand why that had to happen.
Yeah.
But the way that it's resolved in Heavenly Fire means that they're stronger on the other side because they went through that.
Yeah, and I think with Heavenly Fire as well, it doesn't just bring together the Mortal Instruments series, it brings together the links from the Infernal Devices, and it sets off the next trilogy.
It does. It's so good.
This is why it's so bloody big. She worked her ass off on this.
She did, and I was going around with this book, and these hardback size paperbacks are really quite tough to carry around with you.
Yeah. I think I pretty much left mine home, and I would only read it when I was at home because it got so heavy in my bag carrying it around, taking it to work every day and bringing it back and that. But I bought it at that size because I could not wait.
Right.
I was able to get the first 5 books all together. That was fine.
I've got this size.
Yeah, but I was like, I cannot wait to wait until it gets to this size. I can't do it.
I know. Well,
so that's why I bought it.
I've got the short size for Bane Chronicles, Tales of the Shadow Academy, Lady Midnight, and Lord of Shadows, but I had to buy the big one for Queen and Aaron Darkness.
That only came out about a year ago.
Yeah, and I just wanted them all.
Yeah.
So yeah, but
it's so interesting when you were reading these and how your messages to me, and you were reacting to certain things, and I was like, what does that mean? I was like, you have to wait for another book. Wait till the next book, or give it a few chapters. Don't worry about it. Yeah. You're going to be okay. You just got to get through this bit. It's going to be painful, but you just got to get through it.
And
did that help you with reading it, knowing that when you were asking me things and I was saying, just hold on, you'll get it's.
I liked having someone that I could splurge to and say, "There's no one else in my life has read these books. No one else."
When I was reading them, I tried to read them, and you wouldn't read them. So,
But God, I'm just so in love with this series. But who else do we have to talk about?
Izzy and Simon.
Sizzy rocks.
Sizzy.
Love Sizzy.
Yeah, so as we mentioned before, Simon's not that great a character.
No, he isn't.
But he that thing where he feels that he should get Clary just because they've been best friends forever. Then situations happen. And, we're doing spoilers, so here we go. He becomes a vampire. And that causes him to change.
Yeah.
And not just because, obviously, he's a vampire, but because of the way in which he is now part of the Downworlders.
Yeah.
And through Simon, we get to learn the structure of Downworlders.
Yeah.
We get to understand links between them versus the Shadowhunters and why there's so many issues. And all this lot. And there's an absolutely amazing sequence where they go to a restaurant, kind of bar thing, but where Downworlders hang out. And there's a vampire and a werewolf. Oh no, they're both werewolves, aren't they? That are having a conversation.
Oh yeah, where was that?
It's in I think it's the second one.
City
yeah,
isn't it?
Having a conversation about Star Wars versus Harry Potter. Star Wars characters versus Harry Potter whilst eating a raw steak. It was just it was the most bizarre thing ever.
It was crazy, yeah.
And it was absolutely fantastic. But the fact that she did that she bought another fantasy series reference, or was it Star Wars? It might be Twilight or something. It was something. It was something like that. She referenced a completely another fantasy world.
No, I found it. I found it.
Hey.
Right,
it's right near the end of City of Ashes.
Inside, they found a corner booth and slid into it. The diner was nearly empty. Kaylee, the pixie waitress, lounged against the counter lazily, fluttering her blue-white wings. She and Jace had dated once. A pair of werewolves occupied another booth. They were eating raw shanks of lamb and arguing about who would win a fight. Dumbledore from the Harry Potter books or Magnus Bane?
Oh, it's Magnus! Oh.
Dumbledore would totally win, said the first one. He is a badass killing curse. The second lycanthrope made a trenchant point. But Dumbledore isn't real. I don't think Magnus Bane is real either, scoffed the first. Have you ever met him?
So the fact that she's bringing two werewolves eating a raw steak, having an argument about Magnus Bane versus Dumbledore. That was fantastic. The fact that she did that.
Yeah.
I think it shows that, she must love the Harry Potter books in order to bring that. And she totally understands her audience.
Yeah, actually.
And they would appreciate that.
Yes.
Because it's a sense of our reality coming into a fantasy world.
What was I going to say to you? What were we talking about? About fan. Oh God, what were we talking about?
What?
Let's
just say that's not helping.
I know about Cassandra Clare and fan art and how she's not allowed. No. That was what it was. It's about the Shadowhunters TV show.
Yeah.
How the people that BookTube community and Cassandra didn't really push the TV show.
No.
But on her website, she says she fully supports fan art and fan fiction about her world.
Yeah.
But from a legal standpoint, she's not allowed to read it.
Right.
I wonder if it's the same with the TV show, because it technically could be seen as fan fiction.
In a sense, because it does take the characters in the world, but it's put its own different spin on it.
Because
different things
she could be accused of plagiarism.
Technically, yeah.
So I don't know why that just suddenly came to mind.
But Cassandra Clare started on fanfiction.net.
Yes, she did.
So she knows the fanfic community. She appreciates them.
Yeah.
And I think that shows. So she does things like that.
Yeah.
Where she knows that her audience love things and they would debate those things.
Yeah.
And she's probably been asked that question before, maybe.
Yeah.
And so she stuck it in her book.
But this is such a great book because it brings the past, the present and the future all together.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to read The Dark Artifices.
Yeah. Should we get back to Sizzy, though?
Yes, sorry, Sizzy.
We started on Sizzy and then we pulled away.
Sizzy, so anyway, Simon and Lizzie.
So Simon becomes part of this downworld. He really gets integrated with werewolves because of his friendship with Luke.
Yep.
Through Clare and Maya, the wonderful Maya.
Love Maya.
Love Maya. And the vampires. Because of because he is a vampire now, and Raphael, and all that lot, and also it's so interesting that when he is becoming a vampire, how the whole thing of telling his family, how is his family going to react, and it kind of felt like, in a way. Even though it's not the same, I'm not saying it's the same, but I can understand because that whole thing of what are they going to do? Like it's a teenager coming out to their parents.
Yes, and Fusion uses that as a analogy, isn't it? Yeah.
So it's I think that it is that total thing that fantasy allows for realistic things to be brought through to us. So I think the things that he goes through, the thoughts that he has. During that time, somebody could read that and go, well, I am of XYZ sexuality or whatever. I haven't told my family I have the same kind of feelings. And it could actually help someone to know that these are thoughts and feelings. They're totally natural.
I think one of the best things about these books is their representation.
God.
Various different communities.
She represents everyone under the
sun. Genders, races, all sorts of... And actually, there's a list I found on... this is probably more to do with the TV show.
Yeah.
But I'll just read a few of them. So Alec is gay. Magnus is bisexual. Magnus is a person of colour. Alec struggle. No. He doesn't in the books. But Magnus is a bisexual person of colour who has been through mental health struggles. Isabel Lightwood is in the TV show a person of colour recovering from an addiction. Jace is an abuse survivor who has attempted suicide multiple times. Simon is played by a person of colour, and Simon is Jewish, which is a huge part of his character that I love.
And especially being a vampire as well, and the Star of David is a big thing that vampires can't handle. And,
it's very sad. Yeah. Maya is a person of colour and an abuse survivor. Luke is played by a person of colour in the show. He's not in the novels.
Yeah.
But he himself is also a survivor of abuse from Valentine.
Yeah.
Raphael is a person of colour and is asexual. Aileen is a person of colour and is a lesbian. In the show, Luke's partner, Ollie, is a lesbian with her girlfriend, Sam. Cassandra is a person of colour and a single mother.
Yeah.
Meliorn, who is a fairy, is a bisexual person of colour.
Yeah.
And the Seelie Queen is also bisexual, as most Seelies are.
Yeah.
And that's just for this series.
Yeah.
For the Infernal Devices, you have a lot more than that. But what I'm saying is that there is so much representation in these and in the TV show.
And going back to Sizzy,
yes.
you keep on pulling away from Sizzy. It's very interesting with Simon with his Jewish faith and how that impacts on him.
Yes,
because it's something that you just it's part of his description that he's Jewish. You're like, and then he becomes a vampire, and it's this huge thing. You're like, oh my god, I didn't even think about that,
because he can't say God.
No, he can't.
It takes him ages to say God.
He has to train himself to be able to say the word God, doesn't he? And how the Star of David is, it's a terrible symbol for vampire world. But he and Izzy are just wonderful.
They're amazing together.
I mean, Simon automatically has a crush on Izzy as soon as he sees her. He's like, oh my god, drop the... Literally, if you have, like in cartoons, you have like eyes pop out your head. He literally would be like that the second he sees Isabel. And she kind of just has a very sarcastic way of talking to him, especially when the first books, and kind of in a way making him feel like an idiot. But she doesn't mean it in a spiteful way. She's playing with him.
She's
trying to find out his boundary, and she's not doing it as a I'm doing this because I'm being horrible. I'm doing this because I actually like him too, and I just want to find out his character. She's just trying to find out who he is. And then as it progresses, some love gets brought in. And
by the end of Heavenly Fire, they're just together.
They're together. It's not officially said, but everyone knows.
Yeah.
It's like when you look at Jason Clary for the first time, you just know they're going to get together.
Yeah.
You just know it.
Yeah.
Everyone.
But their love is so... That is one thing I do love about it, is that the relationships, when they get deep, they're like soul deep.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there's no chance in hell that Jace and Clary are going to separate now.
No.
Or Malik.
No. And I think with Sizzy as well, I appreciate it because it's a love story that takes a completely different pattern. So with Jace and Clary, because it's so obvious and they go through such hell together, you get that bond because of, how crazy, and Magnus and Alec as well, how they feel. Whereas Simon Izzy, it takes time.
It takes a long time.
It takes a long time.
But when it comes together, it's amazing.
Yeah, and you totally feel it.
Yeah.
And you're genuinely happy for them.
Yeah.
Not that you're not happy for any other couples, because, we absolutely adore them.
Yeah.
But it feels like it's you've that feeling in your heart for them.
What I love about them too is, like, Izzy is a highly... she comes across as somebody who would know precisely what to do with a man.
Oh, yeah.
She comes across as being like a very flamboyant, girly, push-up bra, high heels, I'm confident, lipstick kind of girl.
Yeah.
But the truth is she's not.
No.
At all.
No.
It's a facade that she puts on.
Yeah, it's like
and
when
Simon sees behind it.
When Clary comes to the Institute and
she
stuff,
hates Izzy at
she
first.
hates Izzy. And in a way, you can kind of... Well, I wouldn't say hate from Izzy, but you can feel a friction.
I think Izzy is used to being the only girl.
Yeah, that's but there's this bit with Clary that they go to dress to see Magnus Bane. And Izzy gives Clary some of her clothes.
Yeah, and she's like,
and Clary is mortified that she has to wear, and she's like, who would wear this? And then she realizes obviously they're Izzy's clothes, and she's really embarrassed. And it's like, thanks for and it's in the, I can't remember if it happens in the book. Oh, you might have to bear with because it's been a while. I remember in the film, Izzy shows off Clary in the outfit. And Alec is walking by and she's like, oh, well, how does she look? And he's like, oh, like she has a number up on each stall, each toilet stall, as he walks past. Yeah, I was thinking it was in the book. But it was that kind of thing that is push-up bras. It's tight fit leather and knee-high boots and slit up the side of your dress to show off your thighs, that kind of thing. But it's not who Izzy is. She likes to show herself, but it's she has to be very comfortable with herself in order to do that.
I love what the show did with Izzy.
Oh, I do too. Yeah,
I love what the show did, but we'll talk about that in the
next separate video. But
I love these books so
But
much.
what I love, the other characters as well in it, the older generation who have been through all of this circle stuff, and now they're having to have their children deal with the fallout.
They're like the Marauder generation.
I think like
aren't they beautiful?
You know how we said about Alec with his sexuality, how his parents react to it, and the thing with Simon about coming out as being as a vampire to his family, and that he and Alec kind of go through, in a sense, similar things. Not exactly the same. I mean, the thought process and everything, what's going on, but the way in which Alec's family reacts, and the way that Simon's family react with what Simon has to do when he has to bid them goodbye, with his family.
The conversation that Alec has with Robert,
which is his dad,
his father. At the end of Heavenly Fire, made me cry my eyes out because Alec explains to his dad essentially that because his dad, basically he kisses Magnus in front of the entire Shadow world,
everyone,
and everyone's a bit like, oh my god, did you see that? And the Lightwoods, they don't openly dislike it, but they certainly make it uncomfortable for Alec for a long time.
Oh yes.
And Alec eventually says to his dad, I don't need your approval. I love Magnus. He's who I choose to be with. That's it. End of story. And Robert reveals that Michael Wayland, his parabatai, was in love with him. And Robert treated him badly because of it. And that one conversation put so much in context, and I think he felt so ashamed of himself because of who Michael turned out to be. And that's possibly what...
Maybe he was afraid.
Quite possibly. I wonder if
Robert comes off as this very...
I wonder if Robert had feelings for Michael that he didn't want to acknowledge. You don't know. You never know.
I don't know, but maybe it's that thing that said that Robert was afraid of, maybe did have feelings and afraid of what might happen, or or he was just afraid that when he heard about Alec and Magnus, what could happen, that they could be attacked for it and ridiculed for it and stuff, and he was afraid for his son.
Maybe.
But at least they had that conversation. And they're okay.
Just about.
So I'm happy for them. But the earlier generation are very interesting. Older generation, should I say, in this book and in this book series, and the way in which she brings them all together in the final, and the final book feels like a final book of this. She's tied up every possible end with this one. She's connected you to the Infernal Devices, and she's giving you the stepping stone into the next series. I've got to look right. Emma's our main girl. We're going to follow Emma. We might not see these characters again, or we might see them just a bit. I'm sure we will see the others
Emma
again.
Carstairs, though.
I know. I'm sure we will see them again. But she gives you the most reassuring hug of the final book.
She really does. I loved.
And you know they're all going to be okay.
Yeah, I loved Heavenly Fire. I loved Heavenly Fire.
Yeah.
I was blown away by that.
Yeah.
And it's the next generation that this generation will influence.
Yeah.
And the wars that they've been through.
And Emma, the lead in the next books, is described as the next Jace. So
I love that little girl. She's only 12.
She's only 12.
She's going to be 17 when I meet her.
I was going to say the next book's set 5 years later.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of time.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about Valentine.
Oh.
Or Jonathan.
Do you want to go a little bit longer, or
we can?
Let's go a little bit longer.
We'll try and be succinct.
Okay.
Essentially, Valentine was a div with a plan. Although he did actually think what he was doing was right.
Yeah.
Jonathan / Sebastian is a son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Literally.
Literally. He is.
Literally.
He literally is. The thing though with, Jonathan / Sebastian.
I fucking hated that bastard.
He does things which are so unbelievable.
They're horrible.
Like there is a sequence, and I'm going to say what it is because I cannot. I'm not going to go into depth. I'm just going to say what kind of happens. He is Clary's brother, and in Lost Souls, isn't it? I think it is. Yeah, Lost Souls. He tries to rape her.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Because he thinks that he's keeping the line pure.
Yeah.
And it's
so.
Oh my God, it's horrible.
But do you know what I in a sense love Cassandra Clare for doing? Mm-hmm. It brings the human element back into it again. In regards to you're in a fantasy world.
Yeah.
But this is a real situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's able to plunge you straight into moments like that.
Yeah.
Like you can see why characters get angry at each other or, react the way that they do, especially teenagers, because they don't have that understanding yet. Mm. But with Jonathan / Sebastian, he does things like that. Mm. His manipulation, how he it's very predatorial.
Yes, he is.
And it's fascinating.
And he does it with Jace too.
Well, yeah.
He does it with Jace. He's not he's an equal opportunities predator.
Yeah.
He really is.
Yeah.
And
it's scary.
It is very, very scary. I really enjoyed how at the end of Heavenly Fire, how Jonathan is separated from his good and bad side.
Yeah. So if just to make it, just because you're probably confused. When we first meet him, he is Sebastian. He is introduced as Sebastian in City of Ashes.
Yes.
Yes.
No,
City of Glass, because it's a third because he's where they are.
He's at Alicante.
He's at Alicante, which is the City of Glass.
Yeah.
And he is Sebastian.
Sebastian Verlac.
Yeah, he's just this guy, and Clary meets, and there's this whole situation with Jace, which we won't go into. But she kind of, in a day, ends up like going off for this guy, and then kisses him. Right. So that's the starting point.
But that's not actually her fault.
But yeah,
he engineers all of that.
Yes, I was just about to say. So yeah, he engineers all that. She has absolutely no idea who he's. Just this boy. He engineers everything. He completely manipulates her.
He does.
Into believing this story, and then the rug gets pulled out from under when she learns that he is actually her brother, and his name is actually Jonathan. So he's got this kind of two personalities. So he's got Jonathan, who is an all right guy, and then he's got Sebastian, but Sebastian is at the forefront all the time. And in the final book, with her kind of destroying him, she separates Jonathan from Sebastian, and Jonathan takes the forefront. And it's the brother who she always should have had. Yeah. And he's wonderful.
It's absolutely heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's very interesting now how, like I said, it's a fantasy world, but as Sebastian, he does very human things. They're not good things, but they're human based, and that, I think, was what makes him so terrifying. But so that's why you got Jonathan and Sebastian. But he's referred to as Sebastian throughout because that was how he was introduced to them. And also because Sebastian is the prominent of the two personalities within him. So that's why.
It's fantastic. I love the villains in all of it. I mean, Valentine
is Clary's father.
But he's, as a villain, Sebastian was a step up. Valentine had a plan, and he did truly believe that what he was doing was the best thing for the shadow world. It wasn't. It was genocidal mania. But
it's very interesting, though, that with Valentine and his story ending, you're like, we're only like halfway. Cassandra, we're only halfway through the series, and you've kind of killed the bad guy. So what? And then she's like, oh, honey, he's actually been sat in the corner. Down. He's been sat in the corner the whole time, darling. Just you wait.
Child, sit down. So thus, let the genius work.
The person in the corner, who you don't see coming in the Infernal Devices, is for the good. It's Sophie. For the bad in the Mortal Instruments, it's Sebastian. And he really pulls the rug out.
It's amazing. I am so grateful that she wrote these books, that I've finally read these books, because it's like the Twilight, Harry Potter, Outlander, and these books, and I'm like, these characters belong in my heart now, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I love the depth of the love, all the different types of love. The parabatai love, the romantic love, the parental loves in this. It's all about love.
And family love. Doesn't have to be blood.
Yes, family can be, like Lorenzo says in the TV show, family can be made.
Yes.
Not born. And we're part of the family now.
So I'm gonna try and catch up with you, get through the Bane Chronicles, and I've also got Tales of Shadowhunter Academy as my second book that I've got in my 3-book announcements I did.
I think Tales of the Shadowhunter Academy is going to hurt.
I think it will as well, because it's one of those, given how thick it is, it's the same writers.
It's another novel.
Yeah, it's the same writers as the Bane Chronicles with an extra writer, but it looks like, because you read them out, the descriptions of each of the stories to me, and it sounds like it's a novel in its own right. It's made up of short stories, but there's this underlining, it's about Simon learning things.
Yes, because at the end of Heavenly Fire, they lost so many shadow hunters. So they've been trawling the mundane world for people who may be able to ascend.
Kind of like Sophie.
So they've set up the Shadowhunter Academy to train them. And to see if the angel will accept them as a shadow hunter, and that's why Simon is.
So he's a vampire trained to be a shadow hunter.
Not anymore.
Oh no, but he's not anymore. Sorry, I forgot.
He gets cured of his vampirism.
He got cured, didn't he? And he lost his memory, but now he's got it back again, and he's with Izzy.
And I was so grateful that she wrapped that up, that she didn't drag that out. I was like, please, Cassandra, just please.
I was
heartbroken.
I actually cried with Simon. Because I was so angry at Cassandra for doing it.
The band name.
Oh my god!
The band name.
Because he's really into music, and he's constantly in bands that change every 5 minutes. And he's established a band called the Mortal Instruments. And it's like, Simon!
I'm going to die!
I was angry at Cassandra.
Were you?
Because I was so pissed off that she would do that. That you would take that away from him. But the fact that she very quickly made it clear that his memories back. I was thankful. So I forgave Cassandra for doing that to me. But I cried my eyes out when I found out about Simon.
No, I can't wait for that. That'll be interesting.
So, but as we said, it's tough at times. It really is. But it's so real. It's so genuine. It's so full of love. It's so accepting of everyone.
And it's a very natural series in the sense that I never felt like a plot point was a plot point.
And it's not like it's high fantasy like Game of Thrones or something, where you've got to completely, she does establish the world and everything, but it's not like a completely new land, kind of thing. And you can genuinely feel like you could see Jace, Clary and Simon literally walking in the streets of New York, and then they turn down an alleyway into a place where no one can see, and they go to a cafe and sit with werewolves and such.
Yeah.
And
go to Takis.
Yeah. That's the restaurant. That's the restaurant called the diner. Go to Tucky's and have some lunch, and then go out and fight some demons.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah,
because I want to go with them. We should have drawn some runes on ourselves.
Oh no,
we should have done that.
Angel rune.
Right the angel rune. That makes me laugh
in the show, because Isabel's got one and it's there, but
it's
like right the way down. Like, could you make it any more obvious than the point is right the way down to her boobs? Just like, how low cut a dress can we show the entire room? I don't think that's possible.
Oh, she's gorgeous. It's fine.
But anyway, we're going to do a separate video, talk about the TV series and the film, and we'll be back.
Cassandra, Clare, thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you for writing these books.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't be without them now.
Yeah.
So.
And I'm so glad you finally read them.
By the angel.
By the angel.
By the angel.
By the angel, as they say quite often in the book. I love that. They don't say, oh my God. By the angel.
By the angel, Alec. What have you done now? Anyway,
right.
See you later.
Bye.